Hello, and welcome to our video on photosynthesis and cell respiration. Cell respiration and photosynthesis are two very similar cycles. However, let's first examine just how photosynthesis occurs and what it is used for. Photosynthesis basically provides the plant with a method allowing it to convert light energy that hits it, which is renewable and non-exhaustible source of energy, into a more usable form of energy or sugars.
This makes plants photoautotrophs, and they are referred to in the food web as producers because they provide energy for most of the earth-land food webs. Photosynthesis occurs in all plants in two stages, the light reactions and the Calvin cycle. However, the way these two steps occur vary greatly between plants, depending on their biome and how they've evolved over time. The light reactions of photosynthesis begin with waves of light in the visible light spectrum, excluding green, being absorbed into little tiny pigments called thylakoids that are found scattered in the plant's membrane.
The light energy becomes bottled up inside of a structure known as PS2. The energy is then used to split water inside the reaction center, producing electrons, protons, and oxygen. These newly formed electrons are then transferred to a long chain called the electron transport system, and as protons travel along it, they are transported inside the thylakoid and then later transported back out through an enzyme called ATP synthase, forming the energy molecule ATP. As the electrons and protons meet up with the hydrogen carrier NADP+, which restarts the light reaction process, the newly formed ATP is transported to the stroma, where it will aid in the unraveling of the Calvin cycle.
The Calvin cycle begins when the enzyme Rubisco combines with one carbon dioxide molecule, forming two separate 3-carbon sugar phosphate molecules. These are then, with the help of ATP made during the light reactions, reduced into two PGAL molecules, and then again, with the help of ATP, these form 5 3-carbon molecules of RUBP, with one RUBP left over to be converted into usable energy and transported all over the plant.
Photosynthesis plays a major role in the carbon cycle, in which it basically takes in carbon dioxide and expels oxygen, combining it closely with cell respiration, which takes in oxygen and expels carbon dioxide.
Cell respiration is a decomposition passage that provides the carbon skeletons and ATP to drive the biosynthesis of macromolecules such as proteins and lipids. This process can occur with and without the presence of oxygen. These are called aerobic and anaerobic respiration, respectively. There are 3 steps in cellular respiration: glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport system.
Glycolysis is the process in which a glucose molecule gets 2 phosphates and the energy for a reaction from 2 ATP molecules. Then, the glucose 6-phosphate splits into 2 3-carbon sugar phosphates. Then, the 2 AT are formed when ADP takes the phosphates off. This produces 2 ATP molecules and 2 NAD+ molecules that are reduced to NADH. Then, a 3-carbon acid is formed. It is called pyruvate.
In order for glycolysis to make pyruvate and pass it on to the Krebs cycle, oxygen is needed. Without oxygen, NADH is converted back to NAD+ to cycle back through glycolysis until there is no more oxygen present. Furthermore, pyruvate is converted into lactate, another 3-carbon acid. However, this cannot go through the Krebs cycle and is used during fermentation only. Fermentation is anaerobic respiration that reproduces partially oxidized substances like lactate. Fat and proteins both skip glycolysis.
The next step in cell respiration is the Krebs cycle. Carbon dioxide is released as pyruvate enters the Krebs cycle. This forms a 2-carbon acid called acetate. An enzyme called coenzyme A combines with acetate to form acetyl coenzyme A and transports it to the beginning of the Krebs cycle. NAD+ is reduced to NADH. Coenzyme A detaches from acetate and lets it go through the Krebs cycle, where it combines with a 4-carbon acid, oxaloacetate. This forms a 6-carbon acid called citrate. Then NAD+ is reduced to NADH, and carbon dioxide is released. This then forms ketoglutarate, a 5-carbon acid. After more carbon dioxide and NAD+ is released and reduced, respectively, 4-carbon acid forms. Enzymes then rearrange and reorganize this 4-carbon acid to oxaloacetate, FAD is reduced to FADH2, NAD plus is reduced to NADH, and ATP is produced. Fatty acids of fats are converted to acetate and can enter the Krebs cycle.
The electron transport system is where H plus carriers, FADH2 and NADH, give off their H plus atoms, which split into electrons and protons. Electrons go from one electron carrier to the next. These are enzymes and proteins that are called cytochromes. In the terminal or last cytochrome, oxygen is reduced to water by electron gain. Oxygen is the final electron acceptor. Protons diffuse from the matrix to the inner membrane space. Because of a high unbalanced concentration of protons, they diffuse back through ATP synthetase and cause the formation of most ATP in cell respiration. FADH2 is equal to 2 ATP productions, while NADH is equal to 3 ATP productions.
One difference is that cellular respiration is the process by which cells extract energy from food molecules, and photosynthesis is the process by which plants and some other organisms use sunlight to capture and create energy. Another difference is that respiration can be aerobic or anaerobic, meaning it needs oxygen or does not need oxygen. Also, respiration occurs at a molecular level. Photosynthesis uses oxygen and carbon dioxide, but not to the extent that cellular respiration uses it. The final difference is that the products of photosynthesis allow respiration to occur, and the products of respiration are vital for photosynthesis.
Thank you for watching our video on photosynthesis and cell respiration.